Hi everyone. Like other devices, after use, the generator cannot avoid unintended errors and incidents, which affects the response of information in case of power outages. The following video will guide you to identify and handle common errors and problems in Kim Binh oil generator. To solve errors and incidents, the following tools and supplies are required: screwdrivers, wrench set, wrench socket with T-handle 8, 10 mm, 6-point sockets size 17 mm, brush, towels, funnel, measuring cup, diagonal cutters, needle nose pliers, locking chain pliers, digital clamp meters, oil filter, air filter, fuel filter, grease, industrial, diesel oil, multi-purpose lubricant, anti-fouling paint, black, red, white, zip ties, lubricating oil. Error 1. Starts but the motor is not rotating. Press start 3 times but the machine still does not work and the error, fail to start alarm. First, check battery voltage parameters must ensure is greater than or equal to 12 V DC. Press the start button on the control panel to use the meter to measure DC to check the signal at the motor position of the pin 73 to see if the voltage has come here or not. If wire 73 has a voltage, check the starter motor. If the wire 73 does not have a voltage, open the control panel cover to unplug the relay wire. Measure the signal wire 73 again on the control panel. Make sure the circuit is shorted. If not, check the connection of the signal line. Press start the machine and measure the pin 37. If it is at as greater than or equal to 12 VDC is okay. This time starter relay is fault needs to be replaced. If there is no output voltage, check the power cable, from pin 37, on the controller to the starter relay. One rod plugs into the pin 37 on the control panel and the other rod into the 37-pin starter relay. If the circuit is not shorted, check the signal line, 37. If short circuit, the cause is the output pin of the controller is fault, need to replace. Error 2. Starts but the motor are not rotating warning. Fail to start alarm. Or machine runs for a few minutes or turning off. Then repeat the warning, under speed trip. Check the fuel inside the machine. If lack of fuel, proceed to supplement. Remove and check whether the fuel fed to the high pressure pump is guaranteed or not. Press the button on the electric pump to check whether the fuel is flowing out strong or weak. Perform a check for strong or weak fuel drain by a hand pump. If the fuel outlet is weak or clogged, check the fuel pipe from the oil tank to the high pressure pump or replace the fuel filter. Execute air discharge. Open the exhaust valve in a counterclockwise direction. Press and hold the electric pump for 2 to 3 minutes, then close the exhaust valve air tightly and then loosen 1 to 2 cycles. At the same time, start the engine and push the electric pump until the machine runs. Lock the valve tightly. Exhaust air on nozzles. Using 6-point sockets size 17 mm, loosen the bolts on the nozzles. Start the engine to push air bubbles out, then tighten them. Error 3. The error machine, gen over volume. Shut down. On the HVR, VG voltage button, adjusted in the clockwise direction. Adjust until the output voltage drops to the desired value. If the voltage does not drop, replace HVR. Error 4. The error machine, under volume. Shut down. And the error, under speed trip. Check the voltage signal wire from the transmitter to the control panel. Plus check the CB2 wire L1 inside the control box on the machine, which should be always closed. If CB2, L1, is disconnected, there is no AC signal for the control panel to recognize the error. Plus tighten connection signal cable L1, L2. Open the HVR box to check the fuse and contact the signal line on the HVR to make sure the connection is strong. If not, there will be no output voltage. Start the generator and then adjust the VG button on the HVR in the clockwise direction to increase the voltage. At the same time, look on the control panel to the threshold 220 volts plus 2% V, then stops. If the calibration of HVR is not possible, then measure parameters of alternator wire, measuring of aux winding, white and black wire. If it reaches 2 to 5 ohm is okay. Measuring the main winding, red and black wire. If it reaches 11 to 18 ohm is okay. Measuring the main coil, yellow and green. If it reaches 0.2 to 0.5 ohm is okay. If all the above steps have been checked, but failed, replace the HVR with a new one. Error 5. The error machine. Emergency stop. At the emergency stop button, turn the button in the clockwise direction. Then press the reset button on the control panel. Error 6. Machine error. Oil sensor, pressure sensor error. Check the signal cable from wire 24 of the oil sensor to pin 24 at controllers. Check the short circuit test of the wire and then tighten the connection. Measure and check the oil sensor at pin G. 1 plugs to the pin G and other plug to sensor cover. The value must be 8 to 11 ohm. If higher or lower than this value, the machine needs a new sensor. Check and tighten signal cable at pin 27. Note: wire 24 always attaches to the G pin of the oil sensor. Error 7. The error machine. Stopping, measure and check the oil sensor at pin G1. Plug to the pin G and other plugs to viscosity sensor cover. The value must reach 8 to 11 ohm. If higher or lower than this threshold, the machine needs a new sensor. Check pin 31 of the oil switch, which should be in closed status. Check the signal from the end of wire 31 of the oil switch to pin 31 on the controller. Make sure the circuit is shorted. Error 8. Machine reported lack of oil press. Shut down. Check the internal viscosity level. If it is a lack of oil, it must be filled. If the oil quality is poor, replace it with a new one. Measure and check the oil sensor at pin G. 1 plugs to the pin G and other plug to sensor cover. The value must be 8 to 11 ohm. If higher or lower than this value, the machine needs a new sensor. Check the oil pump. The wear between the oil pump parts. If the wear exceeds the allowable limit, need to be replaced. Causes of wear of details. Do not change the oil according to the period and deadline. Replace poor quality oil, mixed with many impurities. Error 9. Machine reported a high temperature error. High temp. Shut down. Check whether the location of the working machine is well ventilated. If the machine is placed in a room, the distance to the wall is at least 1 meter. Check that the minimum cooling water level is not lower than 3 centimeters from the top of the radiator. Check the coolant level in the bottle. The most appropriate level of water is 2/3 of the water bottle. Carry out additional water. If deficient, check the oil level inside the machine. If the machine lacks oil, it must add oil to the machine. If the oil quality is poor, replace the machine with new oil. Check the radiator surface of the radiator. If the water tank is dusty or jammed, clean it. Realign the deflection of the belt to 1 to 1.5 centimeters. Check the thermostat valve by dropping the valve into boiling water. If the thermostatic valve does not open, a new valve must be replaced in the machine. The valve temperature starts to open as 75 to 78 degrees Celsius, and at a temperature greater than or equal to 90 degrees Celsius, the valve opens fully. Check the temperature sensor by measuring the short circuit test between the sensor pin S and the general grounding position. If the value reaches 150 to 500 ohm, it is okay. Check the temperature switch when the machine stops working by measuring pin A with general grounding position. Plus if the circuit is not shorted, it is okay. Plus if the circuit is shorted, it means the sensor is broken. It need to replace the new sensor for the machine. Note: on wire viscosity sensor 25 always attached to pin S, pin 32 to pin A. Error 10. The fuel sensor error. Fuel sensor error. Check the connection from wire 26 to pin 26 on the controller to make sure the circuit is shorted. If not, recheck the line or replace with a new one. Error 11. Machine error. Overloaded, overcurrent trip. Check the amount of load in use. plus each machine has identification of machine serial capacity limit. If the usage load exceeds this value, a warning will appear, jump CB and shutdown, plus when overloading, reduce load less than the capacity of the machine. 12. Error 12. The machine error voltage fluctuations, under volt, over volt. Perform adjustment of the Saint button on the HVR in the clockwise direction or vice versa until the voltage stabilizes at 220 volts plus 2% B. Above is a guide to identify and handle common errors in Kim Binh oil generator. Hopefully this video tutorial will help you. For more information, please contact phongktcn_VCC at viettel.com.vn. Good luck.